the record show Mr. Moody is absent. Consent agenda, letter C, AP warrant number 26, 3/11/2025. Payroll register number 11, 3/13/2025. And number 12, 3/20/2025.
Make a motion to accept the AP warrants and payroll register.
I have a motion and a second to accept the warrants and payroll registers as read. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Acceptance of the select board meeting minutes on March 10th, 2025.
Move to accept the minutes of the March 10th, 2025 minutes.
I have a motion and a second to accept the meeting minutes for March 10th, 2025. All those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. I believe everybody's here, correct? Okay. All right, old business, select board and advisory board, budget advisory schedule updates, and those are on this paper, and I believe there's some up there for
Yes.
people. So
Yep.
if anybody has any questions on that, we can entertain those. All right, moving on, reevaluation RFP.
I got the numbers that I needed to have from Jeff, Drew, and from Deb about the number of buildings, exempt properties, personal properties, and the building permits and the new building. Of those building permits, how much went to new building. So I'm ready to go with this. At any time, if you guys want to review it tonight and tell me, pull the trigger, go ahead. I did not use anything from the other sample RFP that Shirley sent me. It was way more complicated, and I thought, you know, we're just gonna try to keep it as straightforward as possible.
All right, is that what we want to do? Let her know until we get an agreement? Are we all set to let her know right now, or do we want to wait until we get a chance to review?
You wanna let me know Wednesday night?
That we could, we probably, I don't think we need to take a vote on it. We just need to send it out.
Okay.
So we'll let you know Wednesday.
Let me know Wednesday.
Yep.
Fair enough.
All right, mowing RFP, cemeteries and town-owned properties.
So there is a date in here that we just need to figure out what we're gonna do. When I originally put it together, I put in the March 28th date to have the RFPs back. That's not reasonable because it hasn't been posted to the website yet. So do you want to give it like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or
Today's the 24th, so April 24th.
April 24th? The only issue with that is we won't have it back in time for the budget. So,
Can we kind of prorate it, what you think it would be? I mean, for-
yeah, I think we can,
for-
if we increase it by 10%,
Yeah,
I think that would be fair. Okay. April 24th?
Yep,
All right, got it.
that would be people a month from tomorrow or today.
Yep. And we'll
I'd say
get
send
that,
let's send that out.
we'll get it sent out and we will get it posted to the website.
All right. Okay, items of communication, living wall report, we have it in our folder. Anything, Cheyenne, want to add?
No, other than we're just waiting to hear back from
Okay.
the AARP grants, which we'll find out in May.
That's for the library.
The library grant, and
Yep.
then to do an event for the Christmas celebration for older adults.
All right, what's the qualification of age for older adults?
55 and older.
55, okay, all right. All right.
Look it up now.
Yes. Number 2, town manager report on expenses and revenues. Do you have that? Any questions, anybody? Town manager, anything you want to add?
No, we're still flying low a little bit. We're at roughly 70% of our expenditures of the budget, and based on the timing you know, we should be around 73%. So I think we're still in a solid position.
All right. All right, anything else? Everybody good? Okay.
I have one more thing under communication. Cheyenne got an email from the Secretary of State's office about the 250th birthday of America that's going to be coming up, and the anniversary of two lights, wait a minute, sorry. So the Paul Revere ride,
Yep.
two lights. So there is a kickoff of America's 250th birthday with the two lights for tomorrow's celebration on April 18th of this year. That's what's gonna start the whole year-long celebration. And the famous rides of Paul Revere, William Dawes, and others of learning their fellow patriots of the movement of the British troops. It occurred overnight on April 18th, 1775. So a signal, two lanterns in the tower of Christ Church in Boston indicated that the British regulars were traveling via the Charles River. Two Lights for Tomorrow uses the imagery of that shining light as a uniting call to action for our fellow citizens, no matter where they are, to commemorate and remind ourselves that our history is about working together for a promising future. So what they're asking us to do, and I'll make sure you guys all get a copy of this, or I'll email it to you, display two lights in your home on that night. So like two candles in the window or something like that. Something very simple, but just to show kind of a unity.
Can we get that out to people?
Yeah, absolutely, we'll get that on the website.
All right, new business. Request from Lake Westernset Association for a letter of support on the Black Point purchase.
Okay. So, Mark Doty asked me if I would consider writing a letter in support for the Black Point purchase on behalf of the town of Madison, and I said I needed to bring it to you guys first before I would do that. It's permanent conservation of 130 acres, that Black Point property, by Somerset Woods trustees. It secures more than half a mile of undeveloped shoreline. It's upland and forested wetlands that help to protect Lake Westernset water quality. It allows for recreational access for hunting, fishing, hiking, and swimming. And there's 54 acres of state significant inland waterfowl and wading bird habitat. And the funding for the land for Maine's future is critical, and this is why they want the letter of support, because they're going after some money, a grant money from the land for Maine's future. And then he said, properties around the lake are collectively the second largest tax base and taxpayers in town. Black Point, purchased by Somerset Woods trustees, will protect the tax base by helping to maintain the water quality of the lake and keeping the upland growing trees and reducing runoff, and the wetlands slowing and filtering the runoff as opposed to more development on that land. Eric Lottie is here, he may wish to speak to this.
Yeah, town manager pretty well summed it up. The Lake Association, I'm with the Lake Association, I'm also on the board of Somerset Woods, so I get 2 feet in the game here. It's a critical piece of property as far as water quality is concerned. Should that be improperly developed, it could tip the lake into a high phosphorus situation, and then we all know what happens then, you get an algae bloom. So one of our goals with the Lake Association and Somerset Woods is to protect the surrounding areas of the lake from excessive development and thereby protect the lake. Water quality testing has put us below the threshold for an algae bloom, but it wouldn't take a whole lot to tip us over that edge, and we could look like North Pond.
Ouch.
Which, yeah, that's a,
Where I have my kid.
so you know what it looks like. So we're really hoping to get the Land for Maine's Future money to help with the purchase. The owners of the land are reserving, I think about 5 acres on the south end of it to build their own place there, but the rest of the entire property will be protected. And like she said, there's a lot of great habitat there.
Are you talking up by Abenaki or?
No, this is just north of Lakewood.
Just north of Lake, okay. Also on this
If you,
side.
if you look at the west shoreline, you'll see, north of Lakewood, you'll see the last camp, and this property starts there and goes all the way out onto the point. And then also several hundred yards north of the point, and it runs back toward 201 from that point.
Mhm.
So it's a large, pretty large piece of property. Great habitat.
All right. Anybody want to make a motion? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Does anybody know what the current owners are paying for land taxes on that?
I think it's around, it's in tree growth.
Right?
I think it was something like 900 and something. I'm not certain of that. That's a ballpark figure.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Yeah. So, you know, if they build a substantial summer place on the south end of it, the taxes on that will more than compensate for the loss of taxes on the rest of the property.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, looking for.
So Eric, is there gonna be any access to that other than going across from the, from the boat landing, well, not the boat landing, the kayak type landing? Is there gonna be any other access to that piece of property?
Yes, you know where the Hawks maple syrup place is on north of Lakewood?
Yeah?
Yeah, right across from that is the entrance to it from 201.
I think there used to be a farmhouse there.
Used to be a farmhouse there, there's still a cellar hole, pretty nice stone wall.
So you have to do walk down to it?
You can walk
or
down,
drive-
yes.
You can't drive down to it? I'm just asking.
Probably wouldn't be a good idea.
Okay?
You probably have to have some help getting back out.
Kathy can get around there.
But plus, you folks just passed the hand carry boat launch provision at Lakewood. So anyone with a kayak or a canoe can easily launch there and a short paddle right up to the point. The point itself, the inner end of the point has some really nice sand beaches. If you've looked at the point, there's a lot of dark growth in there, some hemlock and all. There's a nice little kind of informal campsite in there. And then the point itself extends out. Some of it's now underwater with, increased lake levels, but it's a rather nice little place to hang out.
All right, looking for a motion to allow the town manager to send the letter.
So move.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to send a letter for Lake West Arundel Association for support for the Black Point purchase. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. We'll say number 2 because we don't need to approve that. We're on number 3, pay increases for town employees for fiscal year 26 budget. You want to go in order? You want to take everybody together, or how do we want to do this?
The highway is probably the easiest, they have a union contract. They,
You don't have to touch them, we'll just cross off the highway crew.
highway, yeah, so it would be, based on the contract, it's 4%.
Yep. Alright, so we're looking at suggesting a 4% increase for everybody here?
For the most part, yes, so if we
Let's
take.
go right from the top then.
All right.
Go with the library, director of library, and the library staff.
Okay. The director of library, we're asking for a $2 an hour increase, so let me just double check to see if that's 4%. I think it's more than 4%.
4% is 26.
So it would be is that 25, and 27, okay. Yeah, so it's 8%.
8%.
And there are,
You wanna go to 26,
27,
27, okay?
Yep.
Library staff is 4%?
4% for library staff. That would be, it would be Cindy Daigle and Jane Shaw. The other ones are all minimum wage, are both minimum wage.
All right, Parks and Rec?
So the Parks and Rec director, I think we really need to consider how we want this to look going forward. We've invested in bringing in a full-time rec director, and we've made a commitment to him and asked him to make a commitment to the town. So I think that we need to bring him up into a department head salary, at least $25 to $27 an hour. I'd like to see him at a minimum of $55,000 salary a year. If we can get that closer to 65, it would be, I have it here somewhere, wait a minute. It would be in the best interest of the town, I think, because if you're looking at Parks and Rec directors from across the state, other towns that have a similar population to us are in the, Kennebunkport, 65,000, that's probably not the best example. You've got Bridgeton is a smaller one, Bristol, North Yarmouth, Hamden, those are all in the $55,000 to $60,000 range for roughly the same amount of people, or a little bit more. But these are established programs, and we want to keep Danny and make sure that we can get him the resources that he needs to build the program the way that we want it built, to include all ages, not just the young, school-aged athletic people.
Well, what is he at right now?
$23 an hour, so that's $47,000 a year.
25 would put him to, if it went to 25,
And that would put him at 52,000.
Has it been a year?
It would be a year, July 8th, I think it is.
Okay, so he hasn't had a year in review yet.
No, but he and I talk on at least a weekly basis, and he's working very, very hard for this program.
okay, so the groundskeeper, you're talking 4%, we're gonna go back and go through these again.
Okay.
So,
All right.
I wanna get everything on the table here.
Okay.
4% for the groundskeeper?
The groundskeeper being Devin Watt, right? I would like to see him go up to $18 an hour, only because he needs to be more than just minimum wage. He needs to have, at $18 an hour, he can accept some of the responsibilities of doing the planning and the not just the groundskeeping, but other things that Danny can assign to him, to almost put him in a position where he's a part-time assistant, to Danny. So I'd like to see him go up to 18.
Does that mean his hours will change too, the number of hours that he normally works?
It would be, if his salary is 15,800 for the year, well, his wages accrued, that would give him like over 650 hours that he can work in the summer, in the year. So, almost a half year.
All right, fire department?
Fire, Donnie is busy on a couple of calls, but he has asked that his fire department crew go up $1 an hour from 23 to 24.
Firefighters?
Firefighters,
Yeah.
yep. And that the stipends for the chief, the captains, and the deputy chief and the lieutenants be increased. So the stipends for the captains would go from 600 to 750. The deputy chief would go from 3,400 to 4,000. And the 3 lieutenants would go from 375 to 450 for their annual stipends.
What's he saying about himself?
He would like to go to 2,200 a month instead of 1,100 a month.
All right, what about the road commissioner?
The road commissioner I had in at 4%. If you want to go higher than 4%, do you want to speak to that?
So I'm happy with 4% with everybody else.
All right. Town manager per contract, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and the town office staff, we're talking 4%?
yes.
Okay, so my recommendation is gonna be that we make a motion to give 4% to the library staff, the assistant, the road commissioner, and the office staff. And then we can talk about the rest of the library staff. We can talk about the rest of them.
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
So a motion and a second to give the library staff, the road commissioner, the town office staff, and did I leave anybody off? All 4%. All right, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Okay, so. Go back to the library.
Yep.
What do we think? I don't know if we can do all of this. That's more than 4%. I don't. Our budget is gonna be in trouble here. We go too much more than this. And I do appreciate everybody's work, but I just don't know where we're gonna find this money. Any ideas? Anybody wanna help me?
So basically, the librarian was looking for a $2 raise, is that was a,
Yes,
and a 4% would give her how much?
$1.
$1.
Anybody wanna make that a motion? For 4% or $2? Or $1.50? I guess my comment's gonna be that I guess I would like to give them 4% today, or make a motion for that for the library and recreation, and let's put some numbers together on what exactly other people are making, and give us a sheet of what people our size are doing.
Okay?
And, you know, maybe moving forward, we can get those to that point. I mean, I don't know about, back when we did the rec director's job, I talked about putting it at salary. And there was a reason why it couldn't. You remember that, Heidi? What's the reason for that?
The reason is because the state or the federal government was changing it, and they made the baseline to be $45,000 this year. As of January 1st, that was supposed to jump up to $59,000. But then the federal courts in Texas put a kibosh on that, so it did not go to the 59,000, but we do still have 45,000 and change has to be the lowest per salaried employee.
So at $23 an hour, he makes that to be salary. I mean, that solves that problem there, right? That solves that problem, correct?
Yes, but it doesn't put him in line with a department head.
can I just make one comment? I remember through the budget process last year that a lot of people weren't for a full-time rec person. But it was sold to public as being a full-time rec, and he was gonna get his salary as it was. And then if he got grant money, he could increase his salary with grant money. And it was pretty much sold that there'd be grant money out there that he could apply for. And then he could dictate what his salary was. That's how I remember it being sold at the time, when we talked about it at budget time.
That was part of it. He and Joe Hayden have worked and gotten one grant for the ice rink. It's a matching grant with Somerset County. The other part of that, which has limited his ability to get more grant money, is the amount of time that he's spending just on the administration of the program. Putting the things together, hiring the people, dealing with the people, putting the programs, working with Cheyenne to get some of these new issues, the new programs out there for Madison residents to participate in. So there is a limit in that respect as to how much time he has to do a lot of the grant writing. And I anticipate that the grant writing, and Danny's here so he can speak to this stuff, the grant writing is likely to increase in going forward, but it's not going to be something that is, just open the door and have $100,000 right off the bat.
Any comments? I mean, I know it's probably a tight spot for you, and you don't have to make any if you don't want to.
The only comment I'll make on this one is that the difference from last year to this year will be the inclusion of the parks aspect. So that's the only thing I'll add to that.
So that's gonna be all town-owned property that looks like a park.
Correct.
So why don't we just leave the park stuff where it is?
Well, I think the idea was that was something that he could coordinate better than where it is right now in town-owned property. Basically, it's just left. I mean, I don't know if you deal with any of it, but.
I deal with a lot of it, and if he's gonna take on that responsibility, that's great, he can have it all, that's just less for me to do. We got the trimming of the trees down to the the Nathan Street, there's the mowing, there's the picking up the weekly rubbish, there's the boat docks that need to be put in.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot for one person.
Is there a job description for this position?
I believe there is, yes.
For recreation, there's nothing for parks and recreation. If parks were added on, we could add that on. Going off that, adding parks on is not a necessity that I'm looking for. If the town feels like it's best to continue with just recreation, that is perfectly fine.
Question I have is, are you gonna be able to do that, what he just stated? I mean, that seems to be a lot, without help. I mean, Duff doesn't do that all by himself.
No, the crew goes down there, and that place gets checked bi-weekly, because there's a lot of traffic in and out of there, and there's.
I would say we might wanna leave that just where it is.
And the pines, you guys deal with pines too.
We deal with the pines, that we mow that, there's trees that need to be cut, rubbish that needs to be picked up, plus there's a trail that goes down to the monument, don't forget, that needs to be brushed out, usually once a year and cleaned up.
That doesn't sound like recreation.
Doesn't sound like a one-person job.
No.
So, I would suggest we leave that there, and I would say we go with a 4% raise. Yes, Mr. Bean.
I know we had talked budget last week about making him salary so he's not tied into hours
Overtime, yeah.
because of different seasons taking up much more of his time, to constrain him to that 40 hours. I just wanted to bring that up.
Right, I think the reason we didn't do salary was when he, and Heidi just stated it, right? When he came in for the job, the salary was $45,000, and was told that, or some rule that was going to go in effect, apparently did not, that I was gonna have to make 59,000, am I correct, Heidi? 59, and that didn't happen, so that's why it's not salary. I right from the beginning thought it should be salary, because there's no way that he's gonna spend a day Saturday, a day Sunday at football, and then with 10 hours, 10, 12 hours, and then all of a sudden he's gotta come back in on Monday, and, you know, we're not gonna be able to pay the overtime that would be necessary in that situation. And-
But you will have to pay overtime if he gets to the point where he's working enough hours in a week, like say, especially in the summer or something, because he's running summer program and doing, you know, maybe some grant writing or whatever else he's doing. And depending on the hours he works and his rate of pay, and you have to divide it, and if it's less than minimum wage, you have to pay him overtime. So he can still make overtime even on a salary wage if you have a low enough salary. So that's the only thing you have to be careful with.
That's more complicated than that.
It is more complicated. Like it's for like somebody who's
I've never heard of
making
that before.
$60,000 or $70,000 a year, and then they're dividing that by 40 hours, even if they work 50 or 60 hours,
Right.
they're still making a good $20, $25 an hour.
And that's something you figure?
Yes.
Well, I changed my mind then.
Ms. Floyd?
So, is there any reason, obviously this young gentleman's doing a good job, and I think a 4% raise is very appropriate without the additional workload. Is there any reason that his time, he can't work with compensatory time off? Can he, if he works 30 hours one week and he has to work 50 hours the next week because of the way things are going on, does that represent an issue?
I don't, we haven't done that in a long time, and I don't think that, I think if we start doing that, everybody else is gonna ask for that, I would say.
Maybe compensatory
But the other
time off
problem,
isn't the right answer, but I guess what I'm asking is, if he's gotta work 40 hours this week, and he only needs to work 30 hours this week, but because it's a 40-hour requirement, he's gonna work 40 hours rather than banking those 10 hours, so he could do something that needs to be done the following week. Why couldn't that kind of flexibility be?
I'm in favor of him doing the job and getting it done, and how many hours he works,
Hmm.
but that's,
My guess is, if the program's going that well, probably the 40 hours comes and goes, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
And, you know,
right.
I just think, don't overthink it. If 40 hours, give them the 4% increase, don't increase the workload. I don't see a problem.
Yep, I agree with you. All right.
May I make a
Yes.
comment? I don't think a 4% increase is enough. It's not even $1 an hour. At $23 an hour, he's a department head for this town. He should be making at least $25 an hour.
Mr. Lloyd?
I was on the advisory board last year, and my memory of this is much the same as Kathy's. And there was a lot of people in town that weren't really excited about a full-time rec director. Prior to that, volunteers, I guess, had been doing, I don't know if they got any sort of stipend, or if they just did it.
There was stipends for different people and that handled different programs.
Okay,
Well,
but it was obviously much,
Right, and then they had volunteers to help them,
right.
you know.
So I think we took a major step in the right direction. But we have to remember that it wasn't unanimously well-received by the taxpayers.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, I bet you do have.
All right, so we have left the Director of Library, we haven't finished that one, and we haven't finished Parks and Rec, so looking for a motion for both of those. 4% for both? Or, we're gonna go library first, somebody's gotta tell me what to do. Usually not a problem.
They receive, we do raises every year, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
usually 4%.
And it's
Well,
it's either 3 or
3 to
4,
4.
depending on, right now, usually whatever the highway negotiates.
Right.
They pretty much go along with the rest of
We
it.
don't say that out loud,
Well, I just did, sorry. It's there.
Worst kept secret in the world,
though. Yes, I know. There might be two of those, Jeff.
Touche.
All right, anybody want to make a recommendation or a motion, we can get going?
I'll
We
make
gotta
a
talk
motion for
about fire
4% for the head library and for the, director of recreation.
All right, we have a motion for 4% for the director of library and the Parks and Rec director,
Recreation, not Parks and Rec.
recreation director, I'm sorry.
No box.
Looking for a second.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to give 4% increase to the head librarian and director of library services and the director of recreation. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor? Opposed? I will vote yes. That will make it pass. All right, so we're moving on to the fire chief.
Yep.
Should have said motion carried, 3-1. Fire department for the chief. Yeah, let's take the deputy chief, captains, and lieutenants first. All right, looking for a motion to increase the lieutenant to $450, captain to $750, and the deputy chief to $4,000. Any comments, or should we just go 4% for everybody?
And is that what they get? I
They
mean,
make-
they don't get anything for calls, like, because they would go out on calls and stuff.
Yes, they get paid for their call
get
when they get out for
calls,
call
too,
and
and then they
training, I believe.
Oh,
So this is a
This,
is that
basically
this
a
is their,
stipend to
their
be
stipend.
for their extra duty?
extra duty as lieutenant, captain, and
Yeah.
deputy chief.
Are those recommendations 4% or are they, how much out there?
They're much more.
Probably did more,
So it'd
yeah.
be
4% would be,
$75 for that one, so it's gotta be
Yeah.
20%, right? It's gotta be a 20% increase for lieutenant.
4% would be $390 on the lieutenant.
Okay. And the captain would be 26, 24.
$624, yeah, or $625 if you want to round it up.
I wonder, don't even know idea, I wonder how long it's been since we've increased these. Do they go up to 4% every year that we've gone up?
I don't know the last time that they were increased. It was before my time.
And Al, the cost of living, every year is 2.5% to 3%. 4% on a cost of living raise per year is a significant income, is a nice piece of change. So when you say 4% across the board, I believe that, that's being very generous. That's why I believe Jeff took that 4% because he knows that that's a nice offer. And that's just industry standard.
All right, so we gotta make a move here on this, and then we'll talk about the chief.
I'll make a motion that we do 4%.
second,
For everybody, including the chief?
That wasn't what I was
Okay,
thinking
okay.
about.
Deputy chief,
The
captains,
officers, right.
lieutenants.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion to, and we have a second?
Yep.
All right, a motion and a second to 4% for the deputy chief, captains, and lieutenants. Any other questions?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I think it's fair to do that if we're doing it with highway.
I would,
You
yep.
know, I'm afraid that, yeah.
All right, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. And for fire chief? I would wonder, when was the last time that went up? From 22 to 222? I don't know
So
that.
it's 11 right now.
It's $1,100 a month right now.
Yep.
it?
I
I
don't
really
remember.
don't, I don't remember right
I
there.
don't
Every,
remember.
every month he gets paid, it was $1,100 and 18 hours of pay. At the start of this year, he went up to 22 hours and $1,100. But as far back as I can tell, because of his, I guess with Social Security or something, he couldn't make a lot. But he is in there every day.
So 11. 4% on that 1,000.
4% would be 1144.
I don't see us going to 2,200. I mean, I just don't see that, I don't see that happening.
I agree.
No, we have too many other things
Yep.
that we have.
So, I mean, I would say, do we want to make it 1150 and call it good? Or 1144, or 12, whatever, yeah. Somebody make a motion. Hopefully we got everybody covered after this.
The firefighters themselves, I don't think you included them.
I thought we didn't include them in the 4%.
That dollar wasn't 4% for them?
No, 4% would have been 92 cents.
Okay, so let's get the chief done. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go to 12.
1,200 a month. All right, do we have a second?
No second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to go to 1,200 a month for the fire chief. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All right, I'll go along with that. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Bean is opposed. All right, firefighters. We have 92 cents would be,
4%.
92 cents would be 4%.
I make a motion, go 4% for them.
I'll second that.
All right, motion and second to go 4% for firefighters. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. All right, so number 4, change director of parks and recreation from, change director of recreation from hourly to salary. Is that, we can do that? We're good with that? Okay. All right, need a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion to change recreation director from hourly to salary.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second to change the recreation director from hourly to salary. If we vote this, Heidi, you will make sure he is going in the right direction with figuring out. All right, any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. All right, citizens' concerns. Mr. Roy.
Now, I talked to you Thursday, and I talked to somebody else on the board last Thursday, and despite of what's the rumor is down over the hill at the Golubs or Timber HB, whatever they're going by, sounds like you folks can't say anything, but I guess one of my concerns, or I'd like to know if in fact that the information's coming out of it is true, how much money is the taxpayers of Madison looking at to pay off what is out on loans or slash loans grants from down over there?
You have nothing to pay off.
We don't have any loans out for the town of Madison. That, I thought back in August, they did a 6-month referral to pay back a loan through the
Right,
town.
yes, I didn't say that. I didn't say they don't have anything to pay back, we don't.
Correct. But
Right.
if they don't pay, that means the taxpayers have to pay, correct?
No, well, indirectly, yes, I would say. It comes out of a TIF, the TIF. And we have received from them $56,000 in interest payments.
56,000.
56,000.
And what is the current balance, or ballpark figure, what's the current balance right now, what they're supposed to be paying back?
I don't have that in front of me.
400,000,
400
because they've only paid
400,000.
interest.
That's not our tax dollar, well, indirectly it is.
And how much money have they received from TIF already that they don't have to pay back out of our TIF accounts? 100,000? Is that,
No, they received the 400.
they only received 400,000 through the town?
Yep.
CBD, Northern Border,
That's-
all of them, they've only received that much?
That's to my knowledge. I don't,
My knowledge.
to my knowledge, Chris, I mean, I can get more information for you, but.
I think that's it. It was a combination of community development block grants, Northern Border, and the town revolving loan
Right.
that made up the 400,000.
Right.
So all together.
To my knowledge right now, if it is any, we're gonna look into it, but if it's any different, I will let you know.
CBDG, when they have to hire so many employees and keep them on so long at a certain pay, what about that?
I'll have to get back to you, I don't have that information
Okay.
off the top of my head. But I don't remember that being said. At Backyard Farms, that was the case. But I don't remember, they never asked for a TIF down here either, so, but I mean, that, I don't believe that's the case.
I thought they received $100,000 out of our TIF account at one time.
And then another, I'd have to get that information for you. I don't have it right here handy, but we can get it.
What do we have for collateral? Do we have, did we purchase boilers
Well,
and
we purchased,
HVAC
we have the drawings and all of that stuff for that place. I mean, we obviously, when you start talking about that, you're caught in between a rock and a hard place. If you don't come out with some money for that they asked for, you're seen as not supporting business. And so, I mean, when it happened, I mean, all in good faith, that everybody thought, you know, everybody was positive about it.
Till something bad happens.
Well, yes, yes, Chris, your trucks are all good until they get in an accident. Knock on wood, they don't do it, Chris. But, yeah, I agree with you 100%, that's, so. But as far as coming out of, out of our taxes or anything right now, there's nothing coming out.
Nothing coming
No,
out.
it will not affect this budget we have or the upcoming budget.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and if there's anything different than what I just told you, I will let you know.
Thank
We
you.
will let you know.
Yep, thank you.
All right, any other citizens' concerns? Mr. Lloyd?
Yeah, Denise, we're gonna be meeting with on Wednesday, I think, the advisory board is what. Are you gonna have projections for what the TIF and fund balance contributions to the budget might be at that point?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that before the meeting, I believe, to get that.
And I realize it's an educated guess, but I mean, just have some idea before we talk about expenditure.
Yep, Heidi and Denise are gonna come up with that figure for us, and they're gonna be in agreement.
Better than me.
What's that? They'll do it. All right, Mr. Roy?
The TIF for Backyard Farms, does that get extended for another 10 more years? Or
It
is
is
that-
not,
Is that, so that's done next year or this year?
26.
26.
Thank you.
The TIF has not expired. It's the credit enhancement agreement that will expire in 26
Right.
if they don't reach back out to
They
get
have
us.
they have not indicated anything to us at this point.
Okay, thanks.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll look to Selectmen's concerns. Mrs. Black?
I'm fine, thank you.
Mrs. Estes?
All set?
Mr. Bean?
Perfect.
All right, looking for a motion to go into executive session to discuss a legal matter pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056C.
We make a motion to go into executive session for
All right, do I have a second? Second. All right, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session to discuss a legal matter pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056C. All those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries.